including nightmares about failing. There is anxiety, especially when they tell you results have been released. The moment you want to check your results, your heart will not be doing you ijim. You be palpitation. So if it's now the digital space when you can check for those results online, if it was back then when we're in school, there's one big notice board. You will go there, you will see your name, you will see your number, you will see your scores. Every other person will see it. You're not hiding anything. Now everything has been, digitalized. People can see their results online. People can see it from the comfort of their home. There is also the difficulty in concentrating. Yeah, you understand you have an exam, but then again, the fact that you have an exam even makes it more difficult for you to concentrate. While not a formal diagnostic term like post-traumatic stress disorder, it highlights the lingering effects of stressful exam experiences on individuals' mental well-being. And that is why I have in the studio with me the repairer, Ibelema Greene, teens coach and therapist, and also a legal practitioner. How are you, Ibelema?
Very well, thank you. It's good to be here, Denise.
It's an inside joke. You cannot relate. Sorry. Okay, so she's been doing the job of coaching teenagers for a very long time. And for those of us that do know her personally, and like I said, some of you that will be meeting her for the first time, you will understand exactly why she's the right person to be having this conversation with. That story trended last week.
Yeah, it did.
The 19-year-old, the adolescent. And I think this was the second time she was writing the exam.
Yes, she had written
before, so this is the second time. So at the time she wrote the first exam, who knows, maybe she was a teenager. But you see, there is this argument that the mental stamina that we used to have, this current generation cannot boast of it. How true that is, maybe the conversation we're having now will determine. But like I said in my intro, I wouldn't say I had post-traumatic, post-examination trauma, but there was that anxiety.
Yeah.
There was that need not to fail. I also know some people that knew they will fail.
And they failed with their chest.
They failed with their chest. You cannot shame the shameless.
At all. So
when they see their result, if they see anything like pass, they are like, did I pass? This people must be joking. Will I pass? Hey, wow, things are changing.
Yeah.
When their parents saw their result, you passed.
Celebration time.
You passed. This you that we say nothing good can come out of Israel. But then, let's start from the very beginning. The educators.
Okay.
The parents. And guardians. Do you think that they talk about this examination stress enough? Do they even consider it? That the fact that you put teenagers, children, students who are not adults yet through the process of answering questions within a limited time.
Denise, do you want to go there?
Let's start with that.
But let's start with that. So it's great to be on the show. It's been a while since I was here. First, let's start with parents, right? Now, parents are doing a fantastic job with the information that they have at their disposal. So we have to give them their flowers, yes. But you mentioned that most of the teenagers today don't have as much grit or resilience or the mental capacity to handle stress the way we did. And then the question you would want to ask is why? What makes you different from the kids that you are raising? Parenting. We're seeing a result of failed parenting.
Really?
This is the result of failed parenting. Because who is going to have the conversation? You ask the question, are people having the conversation? Did you ever have a conversation with your parents regarding anxiety, or it was basically majored on, if you don't pass, don't come back to this house? What we term as conversations are not conversations.
They're threats.
They're threats. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't discipline a child? That's not what I said, so don't hear what I didn't say. But I'm saying that when we are supposed to be having conversations, and the aim of crucial conversations like this is to make sure the child is well-rounded, their development is founded on values and principles. What principle are you giving a child to deal with stress when you say, your mates, do you have two heads? Or better pass this exam, if not, you will not be able to. Where is the value that you're passing? There's no value. You're not equipping them to deal with stress. You expect them to go through a stressful, rigorous process that you did not prepare them for. Because what we term as preparation for exam is, go and read your book, stop pressing phone. We are custodians, and when I say we, teachers, educators, caregivers, teen handlers, whoever is involved in this space, we are custodians of making sure that they understand and they have the tools. You are equipping them with tools necessary for these things, but we don't do that. So the conversation for exam is, read your book, pass your exam, so you enter good school and get good job. How is that a conversation? That is not a conversation, because now you have children who base their self-worth and confidence on a red mark and a grade. That's it. So I am only valuable to my parents, or my ego or my pride level with my parents is based on the fact that I got an A or a B plus. Even a B plus now is a problem for some people. Parents want bragging rights. Oh, do you know how many A's my child got? Or
in one sitting.
It's bragging rights. And truth, parents should brag about their kids, yes, but that shouldn't be the basis of the conversation. So there's so much anxiety, there's so much expectation, there's no equipping, and you wonder why they are going to. And then let's just say that we have raised children who don't know how to deal with failure. We don't raise them properly. In our bid to shield them, we have shielded them so much that they are not exposed to the realities, current realities. We add social media. There is an unreasonable expectation. So there are just a lot of things. So we're not preparing them or equipping them for, the things that they are going to face. We're not saying the things like, you're going to fail and that's okay. And even if you fail, it doesn't do anything to your self-worth. It means that you can try again. We don't share our failure stories with our kids. How are they supposed to learn these things when the world they live in is the highest, the best? Everybody is putting their best foot forward and their best pictures after 1,000 takes. We're not doing that. So when we now have this fallout, this is the result of what we've done.
Now, let's talk about the educators. I mean, we expect them to know better. No, back then we had teachers who were trained teachers.
Do we have teachers who are trained now?
What about the system, as it were? The educational system that have deemed it fit to have examining bodies to prepare exams for children to determine transfer of knowledge and qualification to the next class, next level, next session, as the case may be. Do they also have these conversations about the amount of stress? Like I highlighted earlier, there's confined space.
Yeah.
There's confined time. There's a time frame. There is a number of questions to be answered. There is what determines what is pass, what is A, what is B, and what is C. Yeah. And I don't want to start drawing comparison between taking an exam in an examination hall and taking an exam at home. That's another kettle of fish altogether. But what about the educators who should know better?
This is a quagmire because you're going to be putting educators between a rock and hard place. Now, our educational system leaves little or nothing to be desired, if we're going to be honest. Are they doing their best? Yes. But do we have a failing system? Yes. Do we have a system that is catching up with current realities? We try, but we're not there yet, because we also have square pegs in round holes who are responsible for our educational sector. But that's not the conversation for today. Let's talk about educators, people who are in class, who are involved in raising, grooming these kids for the exams. An overworked, underpaid teacher who is not called to the teaching ministry is not going to give the attention to a child, mentally preparing them for an exam beyond what the curriculum says. They have too much work to do. And we have to, no excuses, but we have to realize that these people are human. And a lot of people who are in the teaching sector these days are not teachers per se. There were people who got out of school, didn't get a job, found a teaching job, got into a class, and now they are teaching. And then schools have to invest in training these teachers to be well-rounded. How many schools are going to invest in that? It's too expensive. Our teachers are great. Our children are awesome. Then you also have a system where schools ascribe grades as part of a profit-making system. So the more pressure we put on our children so that we can have their faces on billboards everywhere, the more they are going to get better students, more money in the next school session. Really, who is suffering?
Marketing strategy.
It is beautiful. It works. Why? Let's go back to the parents, because the parents want bragging rights. Do you know that my child is in so and so school, that their children want so and so competition? If the parents, again, parents are the first custodians of the children that God gave them. Nobody's going to do the job of world-proofing your kids more than you. You're supposed to do that. Yes, we share the responsibility across board for educators, school owners, and the rest. But major responsibility will come from the parents, because if we have a school, and we do have those schools where they are, insistent on mental health, helping the children have life skills, you find that most parents will come and ask them, you people don't used to do ballet in this school? Or something AI or something else. But when we say, okay, they are going to do a character building class, are you saying that I cannot train my child at home? No, you can't, obviously.
Okay, we'll go on a commercial break. When we come back, I want us to address another group of people.
Okay.
They call themselves exam preparatory service providers. JAM exam preparatory class. WAEC exam preparatory class. Common entrance exam preparatory class. It's not the school. Another group of people that will charge something to prepare these children for exams. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about them after the break. It's the sunny side on 92.3 Nigeria Info FM. We're talking post-examination trauma. Ibelema Greene is in the studio with me. We're live on X at Nigeria Info page, and Facebook page remains Nigeria Info 92.3 PH.
You are tuned in to
Nigeria Info.
0817-923-0002. That is 0817-923-0002. And then, of course, 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp and Telegram number remains 0809-030-6416. Harvest on Facebook says, Denise, I have been in this wahala before, though I manage my life out. Let it not be me that is put into emotional trauma. Ibelema, have you ever wondered where the anxiety, the fear around exams did stem from? I mean, let's start from the very beginning. There has to be something about exams. I mean, when they say, come and eat fried rice and chicken, you're not scared.
Because you've done it over and over and over and over again. There is no pressure to perform.
Okay.
You're not being put on a pedestal or measured by anything or anyone. You're just supposed to come and eat fried rice. It's not the same thing we do with learning. First, let's even start from the basics, where the very unpopular opinion which I have is we have schools that are not designed around our children's design, their original bent, the way they think, the way they learn, the way they see the world. We are operating a system of schooling that is churning out factory workers, clock in at 8, have a break at 11, clock out at 2, do extra morals. That's factory work. Are your children being groomed for business at all with that system? No. So of course they are under pressure because it's not a natural bent for some of them. So when you put them in an exam, they are not designed to sit down. Have you ever taught your child something, a precept, a concept, and you test their knowledge through play, through conversation? We do it all the time. When we want to teach them how to maybe keep their socks, notice that the point you start shouting on the child, wear it well now. Don't you know how to wear their socks? They won't do it well. But if it becomes a game, we start to sing, we start to dance, we are all over the place. It becomes something they look forward to. How many times did you look forward to an exam because they made it fun? It's not fun. Our children's brains are not wired for the responsibility that we are giving them at this level. Of course, they're going to be anxious. Then add the fact that the entire village is waiting for them to either pass or fail. Don't disgrace me in front of my friends so you know how much your school fees is. If you like, go and fail. We will send you to a village school. Who works under, even the parents, if they were working in a space and every day they told you, if you like, don't pass this deadline. If you like, don't bring this customer. Will you work properly? No. You will go and, it's a prayer point now. My boss is a wicked person. Why don't you see that you're doing the same thing to your child during an exam? Of course, you have put on realistic expectations on the child where you're going, you have to pass or your self-worth is not enough. We reward our children when they do something great.
I buy you bicycle.
I buy you bicycle. I buy you PS5. You're going to take a trip abroad. You're going to go to your friends as you go to the cinema. If you pass, what do you do when the child fails? Where's the support system? That's enough pressure for everybody. And it's not a child thing. It's a human thing. People are going to be anxious when there are unrealistic expectations set without a preparation.
Why does it seem like the model we have operated on for a very long time seem to have produced a desired result or the desired result?
Did it?
Well, if you ask me,
We turned out okay.
Yeah, some children, they sat up.
Did they?
They did better.
Did
They were in 10th position last time. I'll buy you bicycle. I do it like this. They enter 2nd position.
Positive reinforcement is not the same thing as bribery. Even God rewards you for doing stuff that is right. But the method in which that reinforcement is given is totally different. There's threat. Don't do this, or you do this, or how can I help? What would be easier? Watch your child. Would they need extra lessons? Do they even need more time to sleep? Are they already stressed by the workload? Because please tell me why a child in grade maybe like 9 is doing 26 subjects. Help me. Why are we doing that? What's the aim? And added to that, they have to do extramural classes. So in addition to academics, we now have these other additions. They are doing karate, they are doing football on Tuesday, ballet on Wednesday, creative writing on Thursday, and then chess on Saturday. Then they will go to church on Sunday.
I have an interesting message here.
Okay, great.
Denise, your guest has still not told us what the conversations we should be having with the children are. Hold on. Is she telling us that the training she received is not what equipped her to be what she is today? Is she saying that children getting good grades does not mean they understand those topics of the subject matter? Is she saying that students should not be accessed, graded, and pass through exams and be competitive? The society of today is only for the competitive, and you have to be prepared to fit into it anywhere in the world. Paul from Port Harcourt.
Fantastic question, Paul. I really like it. And I also like the defense mechanism employed too. Am I saying, let's take it one at a time, that the training I received or we received in our generation wasn't good enough, or it's not the thing that brought us where we were today? Not completely. What it did do was putting us an anxiety and expectation of failure and fear. Did it help us? Yes, it did. But did it help us sustainably? No, it did not. Because something that, and then again I should mention that what worked for one will not work for another. There is no one size fits all approach to how kids learn. It has to be fluid according to the design of the child. That you saw A go to this particular school and is doing well, and you take your child there, does not mean that your child is going to do well there. Again, what kind of child do you want to raise? I was raised under the two extremes, balanced out, traditional way, and then this way. And I can tell you that for a fact, the balance of both worlds work if you can balance it properly.
If you can balance it properly.
Then he said conversations.
Yes. What kind of conversation should you be having?
Crucial ones. In fact, one conversation that their worth is not based on a grade. And that they can do anything that they put their mind to. Why are you not speaking to the child? Why are you assessing a grade and putting it side by side, their intrinsic value? When was the last time you told the child, I know that you can do this. I know that you're smart. Or it's a waste of time. If you praise them too much, they will spoil. No.
Let me put small music at the background. Okay.
So conversations you should have, Paul. What a frustration in learning math should not be a shouting match. It should be a learning curve. What are you really interested in? Knowing the child's talents, knowing his bents, and knowing what their interests would be, and then steering and guiding them in that direction. A conversation about makeup can now lead to a conversation about identity. We are not teaching the children the intangibles. We are focusing only on the externals. They don't grow like that. Because now, why are we doing personal development courses at this point in our life? 35, 40. Now we want to go and learn character building, resilience. Now we are dealing with mental health issues and disorders. Now you're attributing to yourself that you have trauma. Do you know what it means? If you're not dealing with the internals and you have all these externals, why are we taking pills to deal with stuff if they did not settle the conversation from the first place?
Good afternoon to you, Denise. I unequivocally appreciate your guest. She's grounded in her discipline. I do assimilate properly. May God be her guide in Jesus' name. Amen. Ipalibo, Taylor Harry.
Thank you, Ipalibo.
Thank you so much. Now, how can these younger ones be strengthened to accept poor results after examinations? Some of us will say we've never had any record of failure.
Yeah, the generation of I was always first.
There is no failure in our family.
In fact, we can never fail.
We can never fail. If you go and bring any result that does not look like the result from this family, you will tell us where you got it from.
Mm-hmm.
But then, in this girl's situation, there was a glitch. JAM accepted it. They owned their error.
Yeah.
Sadly, she is not alive now. That apology did not get to her. Her family members are grieving. In fact, the father was saying that if only she had come to me to express how she was feeling, just maybe would have told her, next year we buy another form. Or what can you be doing between now? What if she had just waited some hours longer and she heard this? And maybe she would have rewritten the exam and it could be a true test of her knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But then again, she's just one out of the so many. Sadly, this is how it panned out for her. There's so many other children, teenagers, adolescents at the moment that are feeling... I mean, I was reading about a girl who scored 240-something at some point, 320-something at another point, and this year she's scoring 1-something, and it didn't add up. And even me looking at it,
It did not add up.
It did not add up. First experience, 240-something, made sense. By second time, she had gone to reinforce, gotten some arsenal and all of that. Mm-hmm. So you see, jam me and you this time around. And then a third time. How has that dampened her spirit? What does it make her think of herself? And like you said, the parents, what have they been telling her? I mean, because at the end of the day, it's still centered around the mental stamina that we are talking about.
I also feel like kids today, because I work with a lot of teenagers, and their grit level, their resilience level isn't what we have in our generation. And I don't even blame them, because every generation has a certain culture, right? In our generation, we were the kids, at least those in the 80s, were the kids who played outside, played with mud, got into fights.
Did Belle Soye. Bangolo.
We had arguments outside. We settled it. We did, what's this thing that we used to do now? Is it warding?
Warding, yeah. So,
you know, we had all those conversations where, like it or not, we were simulating real life. We played. How many of your kids play?
They have
playtime. They have tablets. Yeah, they do. They have tablets. They have play dates in specially curated areas where we are not fighting for anything. It's fantastic. I love it for them. But it's not simulating real life. And in play, a lot of real life. That's why we did Mommy and Daddy. Even though there were some detrimental things to that, but we move on to another conversation another day. But in play, in community, in the fact that there was a village that raised the child, there were lessons passed that if your parents did not pass it properly, somebody that knew your parents and knew the values that you stood for enforced it. How many parents teach their children the values of perseverance? Is it a conversation in your family? Do they say in our family, we work hard, we work through this? What is your family value system? Some people are just marrying and burning children. There's no plan. What is our stance in this family about hard work? What's our stance about confidence? What's our stance about hard things?
What's our stance about malpractice?
What's our stance about malpractice? Now we have parents who coddle their children. You follow them to the exam hall. You call the person that we give them in jail and all that. What are you expecting from children like that? That they will have spine or a backbone? They can't even defend what they're doing.
But you know why sometimes I beg to differ? Looking at this generation, I thought they were the most vocal. If you
so we're using vocal prowess to measure maturity. Again, these are kids. The fact that they are this okay and they can express themselves doesn't mean they don't need wisdom. Information is not the same thing as wisdom. It's not. So they still need guardians. They need guidance. They need someone to give direction. And they need wisdom. And you have to equip your child to deal with the world in front of them in the most creative of ways. Because right now, we have mostly social media vices. We have influencers raising your kids. The music that they're listening to is raising them. So we say that, why did the girl go and talk to her parents? Interesting. Really, why didn't they? Why didn't she?
Now that you've said social media influencers, some of them are in some celebrities' DM saying, "You're my mentor.
Yeah.
You're my model."
So why isn't not the person at home that is their mentor? Again, we also need to show results for our kids to follow. They have to see results. So if you say hard work pays, is it paying you? Because if you're saying hard work pays, read your book, do this, there is the boy down the road who is pressing his phone and he's being recognized. Also, society doesn't help. It really doesn't, because society gives measures to our kids that are unrealistic. We praise the people who are loud, who are rude, who are, what's the word now that they use? Who have more vocal prowess in this sense than sense. So now it's the loudest, it's not the wisest. That makes sense. So that's where I say again, it's your job as the parent, as the caregiver, to prepare and world-proof your own child. What are the value systems?
You know, all this while you have been speaking as a teen coach and therapist, permit me to engage you in some legal intercourse.
So you mean my law degree will finally come into
yes.
place? Hallelujah.
Yes, yes. As a legal practitioner, you tell me, in cases of trauma caused to students because of the outcome of an examination, can the examination body be indeed sued?
So, gray areas. This is tricky because up until I think it was 2022, for mental issues and suicide, it's a criminal under our penal code, and it's also a criminal offense under our what's the opposite of penal now? God, my class teachers will shout. The criminal code, yes, the criminal code and the penal code. Suicide is a crime. So, we haven't totally done a full upheaval of our legal system to accommodate the current realities of trauma, dysfunction, and all these other things that are coming up. We got our laws from Britain, and it has been abolished and amended, where it was a stopgap for people killing themselves, but let's not go into history, because they wanted to escape, colonization. I hate English. And the rest. So they cannot be sued because they are not directly involved in saying this is the reason this person died. It's not a class action yet.
Sometimes when we are having these kind of conversations,
it's not a funny space. And
time is no man's friend. Unfortunately, we are pressed for time at this point, but
press it back. Press the time back. Press it.
We're pressed for time at this moment. I wish we could exhaust all of the questions here. But then again, like I always say, the conversation continues on social media. If you head on to X, our X handle is at Nigeria Info page. You can drop your comments in the comment section, and Facebook page remains Nigeria Info 92.3 page. So we're live. You can always go back and watch and still be a part of the conversation. Thank you so much, Ibelema Greene, for your time. Yeah. And we look forward to more
of this
of these conversations in coming days. And sadly, that brings us to the end of the sunny side today. But the sunny side will not end if I do not draw my last winner on one place. So we're going to final commercial break for this hour. And when we come back, that winner will be decided. Your social media handles, Ibelema?
At the Ibelema Greene. Very simple on all social media platforms.
On all social media platforms. All right, then follow me on X at Nigeria Info page, my Facebook on X and Instagram. It's at _Denise _Dennis. My Facebook page is Denise Dennis. My Facebook account is Denise Dennis Owalo.
The show continues after